some technical errors, but that's we resuming at the India squad for the World Cup, the first squad that's announced in the ICC Women's World Cup that is scheduled to play in less than 2 months from now. India set to take on Pakistan. Mithali Julan's swan song. Poonam Rao, JEMIMAH Rodrigues, and Shikha Pandey dropped. Boria, your first thoughts on that World Cup?
Firstly, it's perhaps the most important tournament in Indian women's cricket for a long time, because the game is certainly different from what it was in 2017 or even 2020, when that 87,000 crowd watched India play Australia at the MCG final. I mean, obviously the game has progressed. We have now got superstars. There are organizations and institutions which follow women's cricket and document it much more closely. The athletes are much more accessible on social media. People know them, they are stars. So the brand values have increased. So it's a different property. It's a different property, and I expect that this Women's World Cup will be very different from what we have seen in the past. And in that sense, it's a much bigger tournament, a much bigger draw. And obviously, when two legends like Mithali and Julan, cumulatively 40 years of service, 20 each for India, they are calling it a day. Obviously, there will be a lot of emotion involved. Coming to the question about the tournament itself, I think India does have the team. India does have a very good 50-over team. If you really see 50 overs, 20 overs and test match cricket, I think India has the best 50-over team. If you really want me to hierarchize, you're showing the squad, Yash, I think India has the best 50-over team for sure.
Definitely, India does have the best 50-over team, is what Boria says, and what we completely believe on. That 15 plus 3 member squad. Let's go down in the details of that squad. We have two notable omissions. JEMIMAH Rodrigues has been an integral part of that team since 2017. Didn't play that World Cup, but after that has been an integral part. Shikha Pandey has been an integral part for 8, 9, 10 years. But we've seen both getting dropped. What are your first thoughts there? Would you have them into your World Cup squad?
Surprised when I saw the team. I have to say that I was surprised, and anybody will be, that JEMIMAH Rodrigues, who had a very good WBBL, is not part of the squad. Anybody who saw Shikha Pandey in Australia, potential as far as I'm concerned. I think they are notable omissions, Yash. Make no mistake, they are notable omissions. You are putting out the stats. I mean, if you see her stats, 41 average in the 100, 28 average in the BBL, WBBL. So clearly, there will be debate, there will be discussion. And that is why I made that point, that if Neetu David could have been accessible to the media today, if we could have had an interaction with Neetu David and asked her that, what is the thought process? What is the thought process? Not criticize, but ask. What is the thought process behind these selections? I think there would be, there is a case here for transparency as to what is the thought process of the selectors, why these decisions have been taken, because these are important calls. The nation is going to play the World Cup. So the answer to the question is, I was surprised, but when I go through that side, I do see a lot of talent. Do I see JEMIMAH Rodrigues fitting in that final 11? Maybe not. If you ask me, so who's your final 11? Tad premature. And I know Trisha, for example, told us that she also thinks it's a tad premature, but in your mind, you start doing these things. And it's Smriti and Shefali automatically. And then now with no Poonam Rao, you have to say that it will be Mithali Raj at 3. Now that is a good call. If you ask me, Mithali Raj at 3, maneuvering the innings is a good call. Very good call. Number 4, Yastika. And then it's Harman, Deepti and Richa. Now Harman fit and Richa are big hitters, and we can expect some lusty blows towards the end as the second half of the innings happens and the finishing. And then maybe a Sneha Rana at 7 adds that solidity to further solidity to that batting. And then if you see renewed Julan Goswami, by the way, her biopic announced today, Netflix and Clean Slate Films and Karnesh, Anushka playing Julan. The last time that, obviously filming will start in April once the World Cup is over, but congratulations to Julan and Anushka for that. So Jhulan at 8 and then 9. And, obviously Renuka Singh, from what we've seen her in Australia, looked very good to me. He was able to move the ball, and that was good. And clearly they've preferred Rajeshwari over Radha. In the 50-over format, I think it's a correct call. And Poonam Yadav. Overall, this is a good team. We've beaten England in England. We've beaten Australia in this format recently. So I have every reason to be hopeful.
Every reason to be hopeful. Let's talk about a few more players. Renuka Singh Thakur played very well in the T20Is in Australia, gets her maiden ODI call-up. We always talk about Indian squad and the World Cup surprises. Last time 2020 it was Richa Ghosh. This time around it's Renuka Singh Thakur. What are your first thoughts? You saw Renuka bowling in the T20Is. She plays for Himachal. And now
I was quite impressed. I was quite impressed, I have to say. But it's a big call. I mean, preferring her over Shikha Pandeey, if I can really say that was one spot. Yeah. Having said that, I mean, from what I saw in Australia, I was impressed. I mean, there was talent. There was clear evidence of talent there. Having said that, it will be Jhulan again who will have to maneuver that bowling, who will have to lead that bowling and sort of guide each of these people. Because look, you are playing a World Cup and starting out against Pakistan. Now that can take anyone, right? I mean, you'll be overawed. You'll be overawed by the occasion, the massive or the humongous nature of the occasion. So it will be a difficult thing for her. Having said that, that's a kind of a selection the selectors have gone with, which is based on talent. That's why I said, I mean, it will be good to speak to Neetu David and pick her mind on some of these selections. Trisha was giving us some stats of JEMIMAH Rodrigues, 20 and 31. And if you see her averages in the ODIs in the last 4 years, but in recent times, we've not seen her in the ODI format. And as I said, I mean, maybe the team feels or the selectors and the think tank feels that, in the first 11, I mean, I was trying to work out the first 11 in my mind, even the first 12 with Yastika Bhatia, that left-hand, right-hand combination also coming into the mix. So Deepti Sharma and Yastika Bhatia, two left-handers to go with, and Smriti Mandana, obviously, to go with Shafali and Mitali. And the other point that is an important point is Jemi was at the top. Jemi was at the top as an opener, and now the opening partnership is set with Smriti and Shafali. Is that something that is going against her? Maybe yes, because you obviously will not overlook a Smriti and a Shafali at any cost. That's a right-left and a fantastic combination. 3 is Mithali. I have always told you and publicly that I think Mithali Raj's best position is 3. She needs to play the 30 overs. Get her to maneuver that innings. She's the best there. Let her play a number of balls, and because towards the second part of that innings, that strike rate jumps up, exponentially jumps up. And that is important for India. Let Raj take the responsibility as captain. And Poonam and Mithali Raj, very similar kind of, if you see their strike rates. So I think it's a correct call. And then once again, you will have a Yastika at 4 who's a left-hander. Then you have a Deepti and a Harman. So this is good for India, the left-right combination that we are seeing. Richa Ghosh, a right-hander again. So all said and done, I am surprised, but I can understand where the selection is coming from, because Jemi at the top, not a spot there. Recent times, ODIs, no. So harsh, yes. Not great for her, yes. But I do see the logic behind it and where they are coming from.
And the person who makes her case in the squad is actually in the reserves. In place of Jemimah Rodrigues is S. Meghna. She makes her international return after 8 years. Last played for India in 2014. Has been in supreme form in the domestic circuit for the Railways, and now makes her return to that India squad.
Exactly the point. And if you say that, the Chetan Sharma selection committee or the Neetu David selection committee, in recent times, you have seen emphasis being put on domestic cricket, right?
Yeah.
And there is a lot of, so if you do not reward domestic performances, then why play domestic cricket? Now, if Meghna is not rewarded for domestic performances, if you take a look at the men's squad that has gone to South Africa, if you take a look at this women's squad, we will see that there has been some emphasis. I mean, Railways, Meghna, if you see the performances after the team was announced, to be honest, I actually went and checked the statistic. I went and checked the statistics. I had a chat with a couple of people who are close to her. I am putting that on record. And yes, if you parallel Jamie Rodrigues with Meghna, now you will say, oh, she played the WBBL. Oh, you know what she played. But domestic cricket is important, and the performances in domestic cricket have to be rewarded.
But Buria, do you feel that Jemimah Rodrigues not playing the one-day series, the domestic one-day series, went against her? And also, do you feel that making a return or making a case in the squad directly for a World Cup makes more sense? Or rather, Meghna, if she was in the scheme of things, should have played a bit more bilateral series?
Again, there is no clear-cut answer to these questions. I mean, if you ask me, Jamie Rodrigues, as I said to you, I'm putting it on record again, my first reaction was surprised. And I told you that. If you see my WhatsApp message, I messaged you, no Jamie. So that was my first reaction. But when you calm down, because there is a reaction and then you start analyzing, right? As an analyst, okay, what is going on? And you understand, or you try and see sense as to what is going on. There's some order behind the chaos, right? And no, I mean, whether she has played domestic cricket has gone against her. I would rather say it has gone in favor of Meghna, that she has been in great form. Coming to that question about coming to the World Cup directly, again, I mean, if you are in great form, if you are playing well, it shouldn't matter. You have to be rewarded. Now, clearly before the domestics, the bilaterals, maybe she wasn't in the scheme of things because these domestic competitions hadn't been held at that point in time. So yeah. I do see sense there. I do see a lot of sense there. And again, I mean, I think, yes, all said and done, there will always be debate. I mean, we are showing the squad again. Let's just mention everyone: Smriti Mandhana, Ashraf Ali Verma, Yastika Bhatia, Mithali Raj, Harmanpreet Kaur, Deepti Sharma, Sneh Rana, Pooja Vastrakar, Richa Ghosh, Tanya Bhatia, Poonam Yadav, Rajeshwari Gaikwad, glad to see her, Jhulan Goswami, Renuka Singh Thakur. If you really go down that route and finish off that squad, Yash, you will see there is a huge deal of talent here. Can we win the World Cup? Can we make the semi-finals? Can we go to the finals? These are different questions. They are questions for another day. But can this squad evoke confidence? Can this squad tell us that, yes, we have a realistic chance? The answers to that is yes. The answers to both of these questions, India does have the team to make a mark in the World Cup. If you really take the Men's World Cup, the T20 World Cup, every squad you select, men, women, there will be some which will be debatable calls.
100%.
Right? You drop Shreyas Iyer for the men's T20, debatable call. You opted for somebody else, debatable call. You said, "Arey boss, he played so well in the IPL." Here, Jamie Rodrigues, excellent WBBL, debatable call. But you can only pick a certain number, a 15, a 3 more. So you have gone with who you think can give you the best balance. And I think the thing for the board would have been nice to have Neetu David right there to take some questions and outline the thought process based on which the selectors have gone about their business. That's all I will say. I'm surprised, yes, but I'm not disappointed with this squad. In March, if you remember, when you and I did shows, I was disappointed and perturbed as to some names. But this squad does give me a fair amount of confidence that we have the team to make a mark in the World Cup.
We have the team to make a mark in the World Cup, but more important to that, I think so, lifting that trophy would be something that the entire team, especially Mithali and Jhulan, will be looking towards. The rest of the team might just have another World Cup, a couple of more World Cups to their name, but this is the swan song of Mithali Jhulan. Mithali's biopic releases a month before the World Cup. Jhulan's biopic, we've already seen it getting announced by Anushka Sharma in the morning. What are your thoughts? They are your good friends, but end of the day, it's more important for them to lift that World Cup now. Finally, it's that time.
Obviously, I mean, why look, the 2011 World Cup had become an occasion for Tendulkar. And it became a rallying point that let's do it for these two. I would say let's make this World Cup a rallying point. Obviously, it is for the country. It is for the country. There's nothing supreme. But it can be a rallying point for the two best servants or devotees of the women's game, right? These two,
Yes.
whenever, I mean, even if 50 years down the line we talk of women's cricket in India, you have to say Mithali Raj and Jhulan Goswami. I mean,
Yeah.
this Miljul combination, their contribution is eternal. They are
Yeah.
two of the greatest legends that have played this game and will forever remain so, right? So if the team starts to rally around them, if people, you and me, fans and analysts and supporters, start to rally around these two and build around these two, I think it will be good. And I can take you back 2011. My good friend Sachin Tendulkar tells me everyone did something unique. Like Sachin lost 3.5 kilos. They did something. Can these girls do something and make something for the World Cup? That, oh, you know what, this is the sacrifice we are doing for this particular World Cup because we're going to win this. And they came close in 17, right? 10-22-3. They came close in 17. Mithali's run out. Deepti's shot. You know, a young Deepti, mature Deepti now. Harman, that incredible innings. At that point in time, the New Zealand match, Veda played a match-winning innings. So all of that, 2017 is very fresh in my mind still. So keeping all of that in mind, there's a hell lot of emotion. I would want these two to finish off well, but you cannot think of the end goal. You have to think of the process. You have to go match by match. It's a round robin, which is good. The format doesn't mean one bad day and you're gone. That's not the format. The format is a perfect format, so you can evolve your game. All said and done, I'm very hopeful. Go to the semi-final, then take it as, you know, one match at a time, and anything can happen, right? So let's ask ourselves: does India make the top four? On talent, yes. On potential, yes. Performance, hopefully, we will see the top-notch performance in New Zealand.
Hopefully, we see the top-notch performance in New Zealand. India came as runners-up in the 2017 World Cup, came up runners-up in the 2020 World Cup. Is it time for India to finally take that trophy home, which is going to change a lot of things? Mithali Jhulan, Swan Song, a few names being dropped. But overall, do we see the squad is there? Can they win the World Cup? Yes, for sure. This is us here on our first show together, Rev Sports and Women's Cricket Zone's coverage of the Women's World Cup. There is a lot more in store. We start from now till the World Cup gets over. Thank you, Boyada, on the show.
Yeah, I just want to say that, you know, Yash was doing, and Women's Cricket Zone was doing a hell lot of yeoman service to the game. It's now time for us to step up and join him and join them and try and contribute and make this coverage unprecedented. 93 shows, multiple interviews, many peripheral shows, everything going to come your way. So join in and make the World Cup an occasion to cherish and remember. Thanks, Yash, for partnering, and everybody. Thanks very much for watching. Stay home, stay safe from COVID. This is a monstrous surge, but this too will pass. And by the time the World Cup is on us, I'm sure India is a better India, because the peak would have gone, and we could have all gotten together even in our little enclaves, and support Jhulan, Mithali and the rest of the team.
Thanks everyone for joining the show.